which there is actually, over President Obama's slew of recess appointments. He's been busy in Hawaii, 2 recess appointments in particular. James Cole has just been named as our Deputy Attorney General. This after an op-ed he wrote in 2002 comparing the 9/11 terror attacks to crimes like drug peddling. The other controversial, most controversial, I guess, is Robert Ford, who was just named ambassador to Syria in what some are calling a major concession to that country's regime. John Bolton is the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and a Fox News contributor. Ambassador Bolton, thank you for being here. So let's start with the Deputy Attorney General, James Cole, and put it into perspective for folks why he is so controversial.
Well, this is a particularly illuminating appointment about the Obama administration. Even 2 years in, they're appointing somebody who has written publicly shortly after 9/11 that he views the terrorist attacks of that day as a law enforcement matter, roughly comparable to dealing with illegal narcotics. One would have thought after 2 years of thwarting terrorist attacks around the world, of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the administration would have gotten the point that it is a war and not a law enforcement matter, but obviously they haven't. So that's why I think senators had held this nomination up and why they're substantively outraged over the president going ahead with a recess appointment.
Am I crazy, or does this guy, James Cole, reflect the views of the Obama administration? I mean, President Obama, in his inaugural address, talked about how similar to what this guy wrote in that 2002 op-ed, about how the protections built into our criminal justice system are not merely to protect the guilty, but to protect the innocent. And what are we fighting for if we abandon our very principles in connection with the fight? That's how the president feels. That's how James Cole feels. It shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody that he nominated this guy.
No, exactly, and that's why I think it will continue to be an issue. He's the new Deputy Attorney General is very close to Attorney General Eric Holder, who obviously holds the same views. So I think, especially in the House of Representatives, where Republicans will chair the Judiciary Committee since they have a majority in the House, there's room for a lot of hearings about this whole philosophy and whether it has support among the American people. I certainly think it does not.
I want to get to the Syria thing in 1 second, but first I want one other question about Cole. The other problem that critics cite about him is he represented as a lawyer the Saudi prince, Naif bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, when insurance carriers and survivors of the 9/11 attacks sued that prince for financing terrorists, and there was the Treasury Department had released extensive evidence that this prince had supported Al-Qaeda. That, according to the reports. And so the criticism is, what are you representing a guy like that for? And why would we make the guy who represented such a man our number 2 at justice?
Well, I still belong to the old-fashioned view that you don't attribute a lawyer's client's views to the lawyer. And if that is in fact what happened here, as objectionable as it may be, I don't view that as a reason to oppose this fellow's nomination. I think there are plenty of other reasons to oppose it.
And as somebody who practiced law at a big law firm for 9 years, I salute that position, Ambassador Bolton. Let me ask you about the ambassador to Syria, Robert Ford. The objections don't seem to be so much about this guy Ford. No one seems to really have a problem with him. It's the fact that we're naming an ambassador, right?
Well, it's a complete capitulation by the Obama administration. This is a classic example, a paradigm of rewarding bad behavior. The Bush administration pulled our ambassador from Damascus because of Syrian support for terrorism, its affiliation with Iran, its support for Hezbollah in Lebanon, its continued unwillingness to have any serious negotiation with Israel, and a whole raft of other problems, including in Iraq. And by returning an ambassador, by returning an American ambassador to Damascus without the Syrians changing anything in the intervening 5 years, in fact, with their policies growing worse, they have to be saying in Damascus, this administration is truly a soft touch.
They do seem happy. They say the move will reinforce Washington's credibility in the region. Ambassador John Bolton, thank you so much for being here.